Shane Gillis, how a SNL reject became a superstar.
Getting a job on Saturday Night Live is a dream for comedians.
That
Not
is
only
true.
can they earn a living writing jokes, but they also get to do it on the largest comedy platform in the entertainment industry. So when Shane Gillis got a job as a writer for SNL in 2019, he was excited to add his signature humor to the show. Then he was fired just a few days later. A 2-minute clip from his podcast destroyed his opportunity to work on network television. But this would be a blessing in disguise, because it actually was the catalyst to him becoming a superstar, and the Comedy Corporation came crawling back for Shane after he proved he did not need them. Becoming a successful comedian is a brutal grind, but before social media, it was 10 times harder. You had to spend years working.
Hey, wait, the Lakers got eliminated, but I thought LeBron was the GOAT. Just wait for football season. Who cares? I went to the comedy club not too long ago. With Shadow. Do not go there. It's very predatory. I'm actually going to be talking about a little bit more in my vlog of the Texas trip. Do not go to the comedy club. They're very, very predatory, because when you get to the comedy club, not only you have to pay for your ticket, you have to buy at least what was it, 3 drinks. The cheapest drink there is a soda for $4. So you have to spend an extra $12. Do you want water? $9. Do you want, what was it that you guys got? Like mimosa? It was like 20, 30 bucks. The comedy show was awesome, but hell no, I'm never going to go back there. Me personally.
Working on material in local clubs that were half empty, praying that one night someone in the crowd had the right connections to get you an opportunity.
Texas 15, yeah.
After traveling the country doing open mics for years, while
like, how much did that add up? Like, bro, it was they added the bill so high they didn't even care that I only got 1 drink, which is the water. But I wanted like the basic water, but they added like they gave me like this liquid death, whatever it was, and it was bullshit. $9 for that. I was like, what the. Bro, and that's the only thing I got. Like, I didn't get another drink. I didn't want any other drink. I was like, F off, bro. I'm not doing that. Well, they didn't ask me. I just stayed quiet.
Flat broke, maybe you'd make a name for yourself to land a 5-minute set on late night TV, or a small role in a mid-tier comedy movie, and
going overboard,
write you a standout moment in the film. The absolute peak of the comedy mountain was securing a job on Saturday Night Live. If you were hired as a writer, or even better, an on-screen talent, it became significantly easier to secure movie roles or sell tickets to stand-up performances.
Yeah, because a lot more people recognize you.
Iconic and extremely successful comedians that had their careers significantly elevated due to them being SNL cast members. Now, it wasn't impossible to make it without SNL. Kevin Hart and Louis C.K. did just fine despite being rejected from the show. But these days, the pendulum has entirely swung the other way, and SNL is no longer the ideal blueprint for creating a successful career in comedy, as podcasting and social media flip the entire industry on its head. Comedians still have to start at the bottom, doing open mics and small comedy clubs, but now they aren't forced to secure a fan base in.
Bro, I paid the bill. I know, but like, that's like, bruh, how much was it? How much was it? I was like, bro, that's still like, I will still not go there, man. That's no better than that. I was like, bro, that's so messed up. They made it sound good that you would save money or something like that. When I heard you guys talking about like what drink to get, they're like, oh, you could go buying something or whatever, right? And they made it seem like you will save money. Motherfucker, that was like over $100, I think, right? That's like, what the fuck? Less than 200 because me and KB only got the 2. So it was actually less than that? Because I remember the receipt. It was actually higher. So it was so it was $60? Well, 69 because of the water, right? I swear I saw like it was like over 100. Maybe I'm tripping out then. Maybe I'm wrong. I was drunk. I think it was higher, dude. Bro, if you could find your bank statement, I think it was higher, dude. It was way. I think it was higher than 100. If you could find it, I'm telling you, dude.
In the small geographical location that they reside in, they can film their sets and post their best jokes to social media. Those videos will allow them to grow a following independently.
A lot of people have been blowing up on
to get
TikTok.
more bookings across the country.
Like comedians, the best place to grow on for comedians nowadays is TikTok. Believe it or not.
A podcast and essentially prove their comedy prowess through casual, funny banter with their friends or other comedians. Shane Gillis had already been grinding in the Philadelphia comedy scene for a few years, slowly building a name for himself as one of the funniest up-and-coming comics.
Really? Another ad?
In the city. He bounced between open mics and small clubs, doing whatever shows he could get.
That's another thing. I've never fought anyone my size. So I'm bragging about.
Oh, what the? Oh, I'm combining it. Oh my god.
Beat the f out of him. That's the rule. You never fight a wrestler, and you always fight someone you're definitely gonna beat, like women.
Along the way, he met fellow comic Matt McCusker, and the two clicked immediately. Matt and Shane had the same sense of humor, the same edgy comedy, and a chemistry that felt like they had been friends since they were kids, so starting a podcast was the obvious move. Shane's comedy style isn't really made for safe, polished 5-minute TV sets. He thrives in long conversations where he can let loose, riff off others, and develop inside jokes with his friends. What started out as two comics hanging out and talking turned into Matt and Shane's secret podcast. It didn't feel like a show. It felt like listening in on a conversation with your two funniest friends.
God damn. Whoa! Dude! Is that glow in the dark?
No, don't worry about it, bro.
Oh.
Don't worry about what I'm up to over here, bro. I got hammered, and I was watching 3 6 Mafia videos.
By early 2019, Shane wasn't just a Philly comic with a podcast anymore. He was quickly becoming one of the most talked about names in the industry. Ironically, he was actually making a name for himself the old-fashioned way. Sure, his podcast was getting some decent traction online, but it was actually the other comics seeing him in clubs and then spreading his word throughout the industry that caused him to buzz. That same year, he signed with United Talent Agency, packed his bags, and moved to New York City. Not too long after, Comedy Central named him one of their Up Next comedians, putting him on the same list as some of the fastest rising names in the game.
Just moved to New York this year, and yeah, it's all right. New York's all right. It's nice. I like it more than I thought I would, but I just found out I was fat. I'm 31. I just this year found out that I was a fat guy. I'm from a white trash enough town that this was killing it. People back home see me, they're like, "What's your f***ing secret?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out, man. It's mostly hang out."
And then the biggest moment of his career happened. Saturday Night Live called, and they wanted him to come in for an audition. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, ZocDoc. As I've gotten older, I sometimes...
Okay. It was 154? I told you! I told you, dude! I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, minus the $9, because $9 was just for the stupid water, which I asked for tap water, which is like $2, I think, maybe. I don't know. But they give me liquid death, dude. That was $9 effing dollars, right? So it was 145 for your guys' drinks. Well, maybe a little bit less than that with taxes, right? But it was about there. Yeah, don't go to comedy club and drink, guys. Get freaking soda, $4 each, $12 only. That's it. Like, holy hell, man. For a Kill Tony show? Yeah, look. All I'm saying is, if you ever go again for the comedy club, get club soda. Get like soda. That's $4. It's still expensive for soda, but at least it will be $12 in total. That's it. It is 3 drinks or 4 drinks, whatever. $12 to $16, and that's it. That's what I will do. If we go, I will for sure be like, I'm getting club soda. You know. That's it. Club soda, whatever you want to call it, like soda, whatever. Oh, is it? Oh, I think I saw. Oh, yeah, I saw clips of that.
I
Actually,
think it's time to start taking my health a little more seriously. I have a handful of different symptoms that I try and self-diagnose through. SNL is typically an amazing moment for a young comic's career, and it was for Shane too, for about 24 hours. In September of
24 hours.
2018, Saturday Night Live announced they would be adding 3 new members to their cast: Bowen Yang, Chloe Fineman, and Shane Gillis. But less than 24 hours after the announcement, old clips from Matt and Shane's secret podcast started to resurface. One of them was Shane making jokes about Chinatown using language that did not sit right with a lot of people.
Damn, Chinatown's fucking nuts.
It's crazy, dude.
It is full fucking China. Dude, it's
Yeah.
Chinese down there.
I wonder how that started. They just built one f***ed up looking building, and people were like,
Well,
all right, no one said anything.
Let
Let's.
the fucking chicks live there, huh? And the translation between you and the waiter
Yeah.
is just such a fucking hassle. It's like, can you? I'm pointing at it. Like, this is the fucking waiter.
Well, that's why they put number for like 57.
Yeah, this one, even with shit, I was
Yeah.
pointing. I was like, that sauce, that. She's like, yes. It's like, yeah, that one. She's like, yeah. She's like, medium or spicy?
Yeah.
She's like, medium. She's like, spicy. Like, no, medium. No medium, spicy.
While the clip of Shane using the slur was making its rounds online, SNL was receiving praise for casting Bowen Yang, their first East Asian cast member. The timing could not have been worse. What should have been a big win for the show turned into a PR nightmare.
So I was going to do shows, and I was like, nice, I just got announced on SNL. I'm going to go to the club, get some drinks, it'll be fun. On the way to the club, I was in a train, and I got a text from my agent that was like, did you say the C word? And I was like, no, I would never. I don't say that word. And then she was like, here.
bro.
Here's a clip of you saying.
So you get to see everyone, and Joe Rogan's over there as a judge. Is he really? I didn't know that.
Dang it, it was literally a video of me saying it. And I was like, all right, maybe I said it. Looks like I said it. By the time I got to the stand, like TMZ was there.
There was an explosive amount of criticism online towards Shane and SNL. Actor Daniel Day Kim tweeted, "It took 45 years for SNL to get an East Asian cast member, and in that same year, he'll be joined by someone who would have no problem calling him a slur." Actor Simu Liu added, "This word has been used to dehumanize my people for over 150 years. You don't get to use it in the name of edgy comedy." By the next morning, Shane was being labeled a racist across major news outlets, and since he was still relatively unknown in the mainstream, there wasn't much of a public defense speaking on his behalf. Most people didn't even know who he was, they just knew the clip. It's important to understand that SNL is under NBC Universal, a huge media conglomerate that's deeply risk-averse and brand-conscious. When the backlash hit, executives had to decide if it was worth it to risk a boycott, advertiser pressure, or major headlines for a new, relatively unknown comedian. Shane got on the phone with SNL producer Lorne Michaels and a few executives who wanted him to post a scripted apology. By most accounts, Lorne Michaels personally didn't seem overly offended by the podcast clips, but was merely trying to manage the situation.
Yeah, I mean, business sense makes sense.
It sounds like Lorne may have even been willing to weather the storm, if it were entirely up to him, but even Lorne has a boss to appease. However, the scripted apology didn't sit right with Shane. It didn't sound like his true feelings, and he wasn't about to tweet something he didn't feel was authentic, so he kept it simple, wrote up his own short statement and tweeted it. "I'm a comedian who pushes boundaries. I sometimes miss. If you go through my 10 years of comedy, most of it is bad. You're going to find a lot of bad misses. I'm happy to apologize to anyone who's actually offended by anything I've said. My intention is never to hurt anyone, but I am trying to be the best comedian I can be, and sometimes that requires risk." The network was furious that Shane did not follow their orders. They gave him a choice: resign or be fired, and Shane didn't want to resign, so he was fired. But losing SNL was just the start. The backlash got so intense that Shane's talent agency, UTA, also dropped him. Shane was essentially canceled, and he could have leaned further into it. He could have played the victim and turned his career into a big freedom of speech, legalized comedy campaign, but he did not want to make his entire identity around cancel culture.
Which was very
Instead,
smart,
he
very
just
smart.
accepted it. As much much as the controversy hurt, it also introduced him to thousands of comedy fans. People who had never heard of Shane Gillis were suddenly Googling his name, watching his sets, and checking out his podcast. Even some of the biggest names in comedy were coming to his defense.
So I don't get it. And then I don't get if you say something like that, you can't work in a sketch show, but like it's okay from what? He can work at a lumber yard? Yeah. You know? He's certainly going to meet more Asians there, right? Then on SNL, it's a joke about how SNL's not hiring Asians. Jesus Christ.
Also,
now I'm in trouble?
Yeah.
We're not running for office. When is this going to end? Is it millennials? You're a bunch of rats. All of you.
For a comic who is commonly associated with being edgy and risque, all publicity is good publicity. And now what could be seen as a legendary move, Shane proved to SNL that firing him was a terrible decision, as he was about to launch his own comedy sketch show that fans felt was significantly funnier than the corporate giant. Gillis teamed up with comedian and filmmaker John McKeever to create Gillian Keeves, a sketch-based comedy YouTube channel.
I'm Bob Isis of Isis Toyota, and we have a great collection of pre-owned certified Toyotas. But there's one thing I want to make very clear, and it's that we have nothing to do with the terrorists over there in the Middle East right now. And that's why we are the good ISIS.
I think you should be like, here, ISIS
What?
Toyota will behead the competition.
Yes.
No, we're not doing
Yes.
this. What is this?
What?
We're not wishing death to any of our enemies. We are wishing death to high prices.
When you get fired from SNL and then go on to make way funnier content, this guy pushes boundaries in comedy. The series quickly built a cult following for its edgy jokes and Shane's ability to absolutely nail every character he played.
I saw you come in, I said, that's the one, the belle of the ball. You're the prettiest one.
I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I'm not that interested in
You're the ugliest.
What the fuck, dude?
No wonder SNL fired him. He's actually funny.
Nice boat.
You make fun of my hair in front of my friends? I'll kill you.
Combine the Gillian Keeves sketches with the consistent output on Matt and Shane's secret podcast, and Shane was rapidly becoming one of the most popular newcomers in the comedy scene. With momentum at an all-time high, Shane would land an opportunity that is arguably bigger than SNL, a spot on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh,
the Joe
yes,
Rogan
it is.
Experience has consistently ranked at the top of podcast charts over the past decade, and even though most
If
people
you go- if
associate
you're
him
on
with
there, bro,
politics, the UFC,
you made it.
DMT, and animal noises, many forget that Joe Rogan is a veteran comedian who has been doing stand-up for 37 years. Rogan has consistently used his platform to introduce comedians to his large audience, which has made him the highest-ranking comedy tastemaker in the world. Rogan's audience is known for backing comics who push boundaries and don't play it safe, which made Shane a natural fit. But that didn't mean the chemistry between Shane and Joe was instant. The episode started off a little awkward, as a few of Shane's early jokes didn't land. When discussing the SNL incident, Shane was detailing the events that led to his termination and tried to make a joke about the conversation he had with Lorne Michaels, the SNL producer who was about to fire him.
He's like, if we just get you to the first episode, like, people will see you're not a piece of shit person. And I was like, if I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine. Anyway, I thought that was funny. No?
What?
I was like, I
Is that what
literally
you thought?
I literally thought that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it'd be funny.
Well, it could have been funny.
Yeah.
I was booked up, though.
That was a conversation I actually had.
Really?
I remember
In
this.
Michael's office in
It
the
was
middle
so
of
awkward.
That's hilarious.
It was so
I was
awkward.
in pure panic.
Terror?
Yeah.
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 Not only is this awkward moment absolute gold, it was also the first time anyone had ever blatantly said to Rogan's face that they will use him to advance their career. Shane was joking. The whole joke was that this was a stupid, arrogant thought. But at the same time, you could easily argue that a comedian cracking jokes on Joe Rogan's podcast will get you more career advancement than Saturday Night Live in the 2020s.
That's true.
We know for a fact this is true for Shane. As the conversation went on, things loosened up. Shane opened up about the SNL situation, owned it, and didn't try to spin it.
Like, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a comedian.
Yeah, well...
So I don't want to come on and do stuff where I'm like, yeah, and then it was unfair how I was treated. It's like, no, I get it. I understand why I was treated that way.
Business-wise.
I said wild shit. I'm going to keep saying wild.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's no chance I'm going to work at NBC. So those are the rules now. If I want to argue why we made these rules, that's different. But
Yeah.
I understand the rules. And I wasn't abiding by those rules.
I missed all the SNL drama, so I didn't know who this guy was, but I like him. He's funny despite Joe being whooshed the whole time. They have to uncancel this guy. It's BS. He totally owns it. I will support him however I can. But before Shane could truly be taken seriously in the comedy world, he needed one more thing, a full-length stand-up special. Shane decided to record his in front of a tiny crowd in Austin, Texas, far from the glamorous, high-produced theater performances you typically see. And instead of pitching his special to a network and receiving a big payday, Shane stayed true to the fans that made him who he is. Shane Gillis Live in Austin dropped on YouTube on September 7th, 2021, completely free. No paywall, just click, watch, and laugh.
I actually volunteered and coached with the Special Olympics for a little while, so, you know, what'd you guys do? No, don't clap. I did it for those kids. No, I'm kidding. I look like this, so. Me coaching the Special Olympics, I was like a double agent. No one knew whose side I was on, dude. Player, chaperone, no one knew. I'd be standing there coaching, holding a clipboard with 5 dudes that looked exactly like me. I could always see the coaches from the other team looking over like, I think they're letting one of them coach.
Currently, Shane's Live in Austin special has 41 million
Damn,
views,
42 million
rating on IMDb, and
that's
one of the best
sick.
independent comedy specials of 2021. It's safe to say comedy fans love Shane Gillis. What I love about his style is that it feels improvised. His cadence and delivery sounds less like a stand-up routine and more like he's just talking shit with his friends at a bar. More laughs in 48 minutes than a whole season of SNL. Gillis's comedic persona is somewhat of an everyman while still being immoral or a bad influence. Like, on one hand, he can come across as a charming dad who may be, unfortunately, an alcoholic, or he can play up more of a creepy, gross incel type character. But the real Shane is just an unapologetic bro looking to have a good time with the boys.
I remember the last time I felt, I was hammered at JFK. And I fell in the bathroom.
No, you took a brewski tumble?
I took a brewski tumble at JFK, dude. Oh, look, it gets worse. I took a brewski tumble upon arrival.
Oh my!
To Buffalo Wild Wings at arrival, and got hammered. Me and O'Connor were like arguing. Me and O'Connor got shit faced.
Wait, you were arriving at the airport?
Buffalo Wild Wings in JFK.
You couldn't wait?
Upon arrival. I think there was some NBA on.
I see,
like,
I
dude,
see,
let's
I
just
see.
catch the fourth quarter and then we'll go home.
I see.
Had a couple of brewskis, started arguing. I think I was mid-argument with him, and then I went to the bathroom, and he was walking in as I was still laying on the ground.
What the fuck?
Change anything, dude. You're still wrong.
Gillis started touring the country, selling out much larger venues for his live performances. He became a regularly featured guest on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Armpit hair got me.
Armpit hair doesn't bother me at all.
Armpit hair? I barely have any. I'm barely a man.
At Harbor Freight, we're
Mother
committed to ensuring our tools are expertly engineered and built.
Bro, I'm getting ass like crazy right now.
Jack ladies with armpit hair?
Yeah, a little bit of
You're
armpit
getting
hair.
close, dude. You're so close.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I like a good buzz cut.
I like them bald.
Yeah, like
I like a bald lady. She can wear a wig.
Yeah, she can
You'd be a different hairstyle every night.
Khakis.
Rogan even created another podcast within the JRE universe with Shane, Ari Shaffir, and Mark Norman called Protect Our Parks. Now Shane was being regularly platformed by the biggest comedy tastemaker. From there, Shane recorded a second special called Beautiful Dogs that was purchased by Netflix. With Netflix comedy being more relevant than ever, this was a huge opportunity for Shane.
Netflix has a lot of good specials, dude.
Channel. You could argue that he maybe got some favorable reviews from his biased fan base. However, Netflix would expose him to a much more broad, unbiased audience, and he seemingly won them over as well, securing a 7.9 out of 10 star rating.
My favorite thing about Biden is anytime Biden finishes a speech, he transforms into a Roomba.
Additionally, Shane's special showed that he's not trying to be some anti-woke hero. Because of his subject matter, his affiliation with Rogan, and his ascent into pop culture via being canceled, was a recipe for earning him a predominantly right-wing fan base. These days, comedy is more political than ever, and it seems like a lot of criticism
a lot more for sure than before.
comes from those with an opposing political
Comedy always has politics in it. It's always been a thing, but it's like nowadays it's like a lot of comedians are taking advantage of like the political advantage, I guess, nowadays. Because if you make fun of politics more than ever, for sure, like if that's like majority of your like kind of sketch, or yeah, at least you have to have like, oh, actually, you know what? When we were in the comedy club, I think almost every comedian made a political joke. Like it was not like majority of their like stand up, but they always, I think almost all of them made one political joke in it.
Ideology. Then again, a lot of fans gravitate towards comedians that they assume share their political beliefs, and for Shane, they assumed he was right-wing. In his special, he challenged those assumptions by joking about America ignoring gun control, making fun of conservatives' fears about queer people in the military, and roasts George Washington for being a weird slave owner. His style might seem right-wing and might be heavily adopted by the anti-woke crowd, but his belief system has definitely been projected onto him by his opposition and his fans. What's crazy is during all of this success, he still remained consistent with his online following, releasing a weekly podcast episode and a bonus episode for his Patreon. By 2024, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast became the most subscribed show on Patreon with 153,000 members, earning nearly $1 million per month.
Wow.
He never needed Saturday Night Live, and now he was wildly successful without them. You could actually argue the opposite. It's more likely that Saturday Night Live needed him. Now, I'm definitely exaggerating a little. SNL has been running for 50 years, and a huge reason it's lasted this long is because it adapts to the modern social climate. Since SNL is writing and releasing brand new content every Saturday night, they literally have to have their finger on the pulse of pop culture. The moment SNL stops feeling current, it risks becoming outdated and irrelevant. When Shane was dropped in 2019,
I think that's what happened with Living in Color.
Cancel culture was at its peak, and the general public was deep in a hypersensitive era. But after years of chronically online Twitter users demanding the destruction of anyone who crossed a line, audiences started to burn out. Edgier comedians began to thrive, and there became a huge demand for unfiltered, unapologetic humor.
SNL listening to the wrong people, because that's like minority of their viewer base. The majority viewer base, and this opened my eyes in the comedy club. It's like they don't care. They just want to have a good laugh, even if it's edgy or not. That's what I've learned. Like legit. So when you listen to those minority people, oh, I'm offended. Who cares about those people? They're offended. They're not gonna come back and watch you. They're not gonna come back. All right, move on. Forget about them.
SNL is nowhere near leading that shift, but rather slowly adapting enough to avoid being left behind, which is why in 2024, 5 years after he was fired, Shane Gillis was asked to host Saturday Night Live. And yeah, this was a hypocritical move by SNL. They fired someone for being too controversial, then brought him back after he got popular for being exactly that. They seemed blatantly opportunistic. However, it didn't go as great as either of them were hoping. In his opening monologue, Shane started by joking about the
If you're still watching ads in 2025, you're doing something wrong. If you're tired of being
2019 situation.
Most of you probably have no idea who I am. I was fired from this show a while ago, but if, don't look that up, please. If you don't know who I am, please don't Google that. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
Oh, okay, he's doing that. Okay, he's doing that for Peter cover.
Self-deprecating humor, saying he probably shouldn't be there and poking fun at his appearance. The first few minutes, it seemed like Shane was doing fine, but once one of his jokes did not land, it halted all the momentum he had.
Talk about my family. I'll tell you this. I don't know if you guys, if you can tell by looking at me, but I do have family members with Down syndrome. It almost got me. I dodged it, but it nicked me. It nicked me. It's funny. Look, I don't have any material that can be on TV, all right? Best. Also, this place is extremely well lit. I can see everyone not enjoying it. This is, just the most nervous I've ever been. Don't clap now. Shut up.
It seemed like after that joke, Shane started to lean into the idea that he was bombing, which forced the audience to focus on it.
My niece has Down syndrome, and I thought that was going to get a bigger laugh. I thought we were allowed to have fun here.
If you watch it back, it doesn't sound like he was doing that bad, but some have theorized that SNL actually added in a laugh track or boosted the volume of the laughs to make Shane's performance look better. After the SNL monologue, countless major news publications posted negative reviews of his stand-up. Eric Deggans of NPR said, Gillis's turn on SNL last night felt more like an attempt to court a new demographic and poke a bit at liberal sensibilities. Zach Vasquez of The Guardian said his bomb wasn't surprising since he's, quote, a mediocre sketch comedian at best. Most comedians wouldn't admit to being nervous or saying they expected a bigger laugh from the audience during their performance. They would just tell the jokes. So it's pretty safe to say that even Shane thought he wasn't doing too well. Then again, Shane could have been doing some sort of reverse psychology, claiming he was bombing to enhance the joke. What really confused everyone was that Shane thought he did a great job, which seemed to contradict his behavior in the moment.
It was funny though, because I had my phone off like all week because I was dying.
Yeah,
the
sure.
stress, and then in the car from SNL to the after party, I was like, let's see what everyone's saying. And it was like Shane Gillis bombs. Like, I was like, what the? I got done. I was like, damn, I did great.
Yeah.
That was the worst.
The worst hosting in history of
it was
SNL.
so hard not to say.
What really mattered was that Shane's fans thought it was great, and the fact that the audience wasn't really laughing made it even funnier to them, perhaps reminiscent of Norm Macdonald's attitude, who would often disregard the audience and tell the jokes that he thought was funny. He was more than happy to sit there and make himself laugh. While the monologue didn't exactly
like
crush,
bomb
he
in
did hold his
bomb
own
in person,
sketches. In Gump, he played a former high school
but not
bully
bomb
who
with the
shows up to
audience
his
who's
class
watching TV.
reunion expecting to impress everyone, only to be upstaged by Forrest Gump.
And of course, my very best girl, Jenny.
No. Hot Jenny? You locked that down? Oh, I gotta get to the bottom of that. Hot Jenny, girl, where are you at?
She's in heaven with mama.
Yo, what up, Chuck? How's it going?
Sorry for your loss. Do you have any friends that aren't dead?
Lieutenant Dan.
Hey, where's he at? Stand up, man.
Shane has such old school SNL energy, so refreshing for this show to see. Perhaps the most ironic sketch was Shane attending an HR meeting where Bowen Yang was the HR manager, essentially in charge of hiring and firing employees. Bowen was the East Asian cast member that was hired at the same time Shane's controversial use of Asian slurs was brought to light, and ultimately
that's
got
awkward
fired.
and funny.
People suspected there might be tension between them, yet Shane said otherwise.
No, it shouldn't, because it was not like the guy's decision. It's not like the guy came out, hey, you better fire him because he said this in the past. No, the community didn't even say anything. So why would there be bad blood? That makes zero sense. Like what?
Wise.
Here, I'll tell you this. Bowen Yang's cool.
Hell yeah.
He is.
Can I say
No, I swear to God.
You would think that after network executives gave him a second chance, received a less than spectacular performance, and arguably even more negative press, that he would surely never return to Saturday Night Live again, right? Wrong, because Shane just kept leveling up, giving SNL no choice but to bring back the comedy superstar. In the past year and a half, Shane has reached explosive heights, bigger stages, bigger crowds, and locked in a deal with Netflix to launch an original comedy show he wrote and executive produced called Tires. Critics hated the show, and after the SNL reactions, that's no surprise. But once again, Shane's fans held it down. They loved the show, and because of that, the series was
Son of a bitch!
was popular enough for Netflix to purchase a second season. Just before the 2024 election, Shane appeared on a special edition of Kill Tony where he impersonated Donald Trump alongside comedian Adam Ray impersonating Joe Biden.
God.
This episode absolutely tore the roof off the place, which generated over 25 million views on YouTube and millions more across other social medias.
You want a knuckle sandwich? Okay, Joe, you
I just woke up because I took a break because I worked on a comic all night. Oh shit. It's really 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing good. A bonus stream today. It was a really productive day. I worked all day. And now I'm just working on finishing the stickers to like catch up with my schedule, because I only have about 8 to maybe 10 days to finish the Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and sticker designs so I could get them printed and ready to go. So I have very few that's maybe max February 14, max, to get everything ready and get it printed for NostalgiaCon. Everything else, like for Anime Expo, I have more time. I have like the whole month, right? But for NostalgiaCon, I need that because I have a con show like literally next month, like around the 6th to 7th. So yeah.
Could do nothing to me. I would hurt you severely, and everyone here knows it. I would beat Joe's ass so badly, frankly.
Man, no, I've been there. I campaigned there. You never went there. Meningitis, Illinois.
Joe, you've never visited the Midwest. Everyone knows it. Illinois loves Donald Trump.
That is.
I wish I had a joke there, but I'm getting into character too much.
SNL can't do shit. This is the best episode in the history of Kill Tony. Since Saturday Night Live makes so much material making fun of the current president, they asked Shane to impersonate Donald Trump for the entire 50th season of SNL. But Shane doesn't need them, so he declined the job offer.
Oh, okay.
He did, however, accept the opportunity to host SNL for a second time in February of 2025, but some would argue his return was just as bad, if not worse, than the first time. Shane looked more relaxed during his second monologue, but his eyes were still rapidly panning across the room, hoping to desperately find someone in the crowd laughing at his jokes.
My favorite thing about Biden was anytime he was giving his speech, in between teleprompters, his face would go back to being dead. You remember that? He'd be like, ah! No, serious. Look, I get it. You guys are pretty liberal here. Look.
I sent 3 images from the comic. Now I'm working on page 3. Oh, I'll check it out.
Liberal, dude. It feels good. It's powerful. It's too powerful, dude. It's like the Sith.
The Sith?
You like lose yourself, dude. Somebody says something you don't like at work. You're like, do it. All right, now I'm gonna lose you even more.
Shane was in enemy territory, but he stayed true to the edgy humor his fans love, making race jokes, Bill Cosby jokes, and then a sleeper 3-minute rant about the most boring Civil War documentary show in television history.
But my favorite historical documentary is it's called Ken Burns' Civil War. All right, Ken Burns' Civil War. If you haven't seen it, it's 900 hours long. No one on earth has ever finished it. It's kryptonite to women. If you put that on, they will fall asleep immediately. You know, that's a little, they're yapping a little. You go, how about some Ken Burns? That's a little Cosby tip for you, actually.
Oh my God.
Who needs roofies when we have Ken Burns presents The History of the Buffalo on PBS?
It's almost like you can feel the audience thinking, am I a bad person for laughing at this joke? Probably. So I can't laugh here, rather than laughing at the beautiful idiocracy on display in front of them. Shane laughing to himself knowing he is bombing again in SNL equals pure gold. Watching non-SNL humor be told in front of
Yeah, I mean, he's not a great fit for SNL. SNL is too safe.
SNL fans will forever make me laugh. LMAO, this monologue was only for Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast fans. However, once again, critics hated it. Karen Valby of Vanity Fair said, Shane saying, look, I get it, you guys are pretty liberal here, as he did tonight when a joke didn't land, is like blaming the ref when you miss your own shot. Sometimes boundary pushing is just code for bad material. Jesse Fox of Vulture compared Shane's performance to a thought-provoking statement made by comedian Anthony Jeselnik, suggesting that Shane was trying to get in trouble and not just simply be funny.
Oh my God.
The point is to get in trouble. It's like, why are you giving me shit? I'm a comic. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. That's wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, it's okay to make people mad, but they don't want any pushback. And I think that's wrong. As a comedian, you want to make people laugh.
Shane might have bombed twice on SNL because deep down he still felt the pressure of performing on such a legacy platform. Whether he needs them or not, he still respects what the show represents in comedy history. But at the same time, he clearly wants to prioritize his fans and stay true to what he thinks is funny. So he won't just pander to a mainstream audience just because he is on network TV. Plus, the monologues didn't even really matter, because the moment the sketches started, Shane settled in and started showing everyone why he deserved to be there again. The standout sketch of the night was Couple of Beers, a fake ad for a medication that treats anxiety and depression.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
shot
remember
just like
that.
a real pharma ad, but instead of a normal drug, it's Shane
This is
solving
Couple
all
of
life's
Beers.
problems by day drinking.
I remember that.
Jay, you look freaking hot, man. You been doing like Pilates?
Excuse me?
Whoa, sorry. I'm just having a tough time adjusting to my new medication.
Even though SNL might not be the comedy gatekeepers that they used to be, their legacy cannot be understated. Many people suggest the show is actually on a hot streak right now, producing some of the best laughs that they had in years. But even SNL creator Lorne Michaels acknowledged that firing Shane was a bad idea. He got beat up for things that he'd done years earlier, and the overreaction to it was so stunning, and the velocity of it was 200 Asian companies were going to boycott the show. It became a scandal, and I go, no. He's just starting, and he's really funny, and you don't know how we're going to use him. When he came back to the show, we saw, oh right, he's really talented, and he would have been really good for us. But SNL is unfortunately
I think it's just too edgy.
Producer. It's owned by a massive corporation.
No, yeah, but also
Corporations
he's
don't
too
really
edgy
cancel
for
people,
SNL.
but they distance themselves until the public warms back up. And the public has decided that they love Shane Gillis. And now, all of a sudden, NBC doesn't care about his edgy humor. In the end, Shane and SNL's relationship is a win-win story. Having Shane back makes for a good, full-circle story. He was fired for a podcast clip, then built an empire, arguably from that podcast, as well as sketch comedy, and was able to return to the show on his own terms as a superstar. For Shane, it's a flex. For SNL, it's redemption. And for both of them, it's pretty good for their bank accounts.
True. Hold up.
There are a few status symbols in hip hop.
Hold up. No, I mean, like, I feel like his comedy is just too edgy. Like the comedians that I saw in Austin, they're way too edgy for SNL. No, I mean, even though they weren't edgy, it just seems that way, honestly. The joke of Shane going on Joe Rogan to Joe's face, Joe not getting it, makes it 10 times funnier. This is why he's always been my favorite black comedian. Oh my god. Former D1 football player, the creative veteran who goes to cast on SNL. What a legend. You're getting close. It's still one of my favorite moments. The Joe Rogan. Oh, JRE. Oh my god. I thought it was like Joe Rogan. Oh, my bad. Let's see. The best description was Shane. No, that is Joe Rogan. JRE is Joe Rogan. Experience, yeah. What am I tripping? I'm tripping out, dude. The best description of Shane I ever heard is Shane is the type of guy of Bert Kreischer wishes he was. Kreischer? That is a good description about it. Anyways, Shane Gillis is actually funny. That's why he's been doing so well playing simple. I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, like I find him funny. I find it like when he is like when there's no like rules and there's like nothing like holding him back, I feel like that's where he can like really shine. But I feel like SNL is just not a place for him to do his comedy. It just does not work. Like in a stand-up sense, I mean.